In the aftermarket for mid-size luxury SUVs, the Land Rover Discovery 3 stands out for its price range. One of the reasons for this is the diesel engine, which is inexpensive in customs, but not only. The SUV, whose name became legendary thanks to the Camel Trophy adventure, evolved, became more comfortable, and in 2004 showed the world its third reincarnation. In order to be on the board for the inexperienced in off-road, Discovery has become very smart. The terrain response system, using a switch, allows you to select one of 5 modes of suspension and transmission: grass, gravel, snow, mud, stones. Well, then the electronic brains change the settings of the automatic transmission, engine, hill descent control and traction control systems, and the ride height. But it was smooth on paper, but forgot about the ravines. In the end, all this computerization is a potentially weak link in the model. There are 2 reasons for electronic glitches. The first is contact oxidation, and the second is software. New control firmware in the first years of production was flooded by dealers at almost every MOT. Now the programs are debugged, although their new versions still appear periodically, and wiring problems come first. Typical places for their localization are wiring loops behind the rear left wheel, under the front left fender liner, and in the right front sill. The control units themselves practically do not fail, unless, of course, the car is heated. However, let's not exaggerate. Electronic troubles are by no means a universal phenomenon. The suspension of all wheels in this generation is independent. Moreover, only about 5% of the items are presented with traditional springs as damping elements. The rest of the Discoveries are equipped with air suspension, which allows you to change the ride height. Since pneumatics have been used by Land Rover for a long time, now there are no frankly weak points in it, like air springs rubbing from sand and dirt. Cylinders at Disco 3 are covered with metal casings. But this system has one typical problem: compressor failure due to a broken cylinder mounting bracket. This happens for 2 reasons. Or when, to raise the rear left wheel, the jack is placed under the compressor casing, mistakenly taking it for a support platform. Or when the bracket is torn off when forcing curbs. However, for prevention there is tuning protection. On copies of the first years of production in Russian conditions, ball bearings, silent blocks of the front suspension, and steering tips differed in a small resource, about 30 to 40,000 kilometers. Since 2008, the plant has been supplying only reinforced versions of these spare parts. Common troubles also include souring of the front suspension camber adjustment bolts. The way out is to replace the lower arm of the front suspension assembly. With a run of about 100,000 kilometers, it's time to update the shock absorbers and, possibly, the front wheel hubs, where the bearing does not change separately. Cardan shafts are supplied as spare parts only as an assembly, but if there are whole cases of tri-point joints, they are not demolished. The steering rack is quite reliable, although a knock is possible at the junction of the steering cardan with the steering shaft, but this is not a reason to change anything urgently. Manual transmission is equipped with only a small number of representatives of this model. Moreover, both mechanics and automatic are produced by the well-known European company ZF. So in case of automatic transmission breakdowns, which are possible, like on any other SUV, the purchase of spare parts and repairs will not be a difficult task. The reasons for the failure of the automatic transmission are traditional: slipping in D mode on the road, untimely oil changes, its insufficient level, which most often occurs due to the front oil seal that has lost its elasticity, replacement, 9,500 rubles, or leakage of the plastic oil pan, replacement, 6,700 rubles. Typically, automatic transmission repairs cost about 100,000 rubles. The most common engine is a 2.7-liter V6 turbo diesel, 190 horsepower. Of the features of the service, we note that with the penny replacement of glow plugs from non-specialists, you can get to repair cylinder heads. Timing belts are replaced with a mileage of 120,000 kilometers. Problems with turbines are possible, as a rule, due to non-compliance with operating rules, which is recognized by increased engine smoke and oil leaks on the intercooler pipes. On versions with Euro 3 Eco norms, failures of EGR valves were noted, and copies with Euro 4 were recalled to replace the high-pressure fuel pump. Keep in mind that if the engine still needs repair, then everything will have to be changed only as an assembly: the so-called short block, cylinder block, pistons with rings, connecting rods, and crankshaft with liners, because none of the above is supplied as spare parts. In the model range, there are instances with the gasoline Jaguar V8 4.4L, 300 horsepower, and for some markets another V6 4.0L, 219 horsepower, was offered. For these engines, probably due to their low prevalence, the negative, except for a modest fuel consumption, is unknown. In the all-wheel drive transmission on versions with locking, the weak point is the electric motor of the rear axle differential lock drive. The reason for the failures is the insufficient protection of the assembly from dirt. Gearboxes and transfer case are reliable. Unless, of course, follow the seals, which, however, flow quite rarely. It should be noted that the replacement of the oil seals of the transfer case is impossible without disassembling the unit, which can only be carried out with a guarantee in the conditions of a specialized service. There are no complaints about the braking system. Blocks in average conditions go from 15,000 to 30,000 kilometers. Brake discs withstand 2 to 3 pad changes. By the way, where sensors monitor the condition of only 2 out of 8 pads, so do not forget about visual control. Unfortunately, even computer diagnostics will not give a 100% guarantee of detecting hidden defects and complete information about the condition of the car. Some protection against buying a problematic copy will be the presence of all maintenance papers, which, like a medical card from a clinic, can give an impression of the patient's health. But, when purchasing a live SUV, remember, if you forget the way to the service, where they understand the subtle soul of an aristocrat, Discovery will not forgive you.